Alright guys, and welcome to another Dayz tutorial. In this video I wanted to talk about type.xml files and how you can make them smaller but have more. So what I mean by that is, generally you'll have a server that's modded and you'll have loads of mods on your server, and with most mods you'll have like a type.xml file, which is a way of adding your items into the server and getting them to spawn. So, what you generally do is you generally add each of these type.xml files from each of your mods into your main default type.xml file, which leads to a massive big type.xml file, and it can be quite difficult to go through, to sort out, to do whatever you need to do. Now, I'm quite fully aware, like if you're using programs like Notepad++ or I think, is it Sublime or something, and there's other programs, you can just use Control F and you can search for what you want to adjust. But if you're like me and sometimes want to just scroll through each item and adjust things, make sure you got each item exactly to where you want it. When you're scrolling through a big type.xml file, it can be quite awkward, quite difficult sometimes, where if you have them individually set as each mod, you can just work through them slowly. You can adjust one mod, save that, test it, you don't have to sit through one file. So, for me, many of you guys might be thinking, what's the point, there's no real need, and you're probably right. For me, I personally find this way, the way I'm going to show you, easier, better to work on, but for you guys, you might not. So if you don't, you don't, it's up to you. But for the people that may find this way easier, people that may not know you could do this, now you will do once I get to show you. So yeah, so it's up to you if you want to do this, if you find it easy or not. For me, I do, and I just want to let guys that don't know it, I wanted to let people know that if they didn't know it, well, now they do, and if they think it's going to be easier for them, then you can go ahead and do it. So, so basically, now I'm on my dedicated server here, but basically what you want to do is you want to go to, once you've installed a mod, so I'm going to just be dealing with Arma 2 Remastered mod, and this is just an example, but what you want to do is you want to go to where your server is, your main root of your server. So for me, I'm just going to show you on my Norse test server. But for me, we're going to deal with the Armored Remastered, and there's other ones, like you could do with another mod that's got items like base storage, where we're looking at, there's like KOD weapons, multi-weapons, there's different mods, and I will need to talk to you. Some mods will have their type.xml file a little different, and you will have to add certain things to get them to work the way I'm going to show you. So, what you need to do is, like I said, I'm dealing with the remastered armor weapon pack. So you want to go into that, and usually, not all mods have it, but you'll usually have an XML file, an folder, an info folder. You'll have some sort of folder that's got all your XML files in. Now, this has only got a type.xml file. Some will have a spawnable type.xml file. If it's a trader mod, you've got trader files. What else? If it's a vehicle mod, you've got types for your vehicles. You've got the info for the trader for them. You have more. But like I said, I just want to deal with the types. And the way I'm going to show you, it does also work with the spawnable types XML. But like I said, just deal with the types. So what I'm going to do is edit that. So right click, edit. Edit with, I'm just dealing with, this is with Notepad. But you could do whatever Notepad system you're using. Like I said before, Notepad++, Sublime. I think, is it Visual Studio? It's called Visual Studio Code, something like that. You can use whatever you want to use. But open it up. Now, this type.xml file is actually valid. It's a standalone file that I can choose straight off. Some aren't. And what I mean by that is some type.xml files will not give you, will not have these top two lines in. Some will just look like this at the top. It will just give you, and sometimes it won't even have this line. It'll just start from type name and type and go down. But what you do need is you need these top two lines. This XML version 1.0 encoding, standalone thing, and then you need this top types. And then also at the bottom, you need this bottom types. So again, Some won't have it. Some will just have this type at the end. But you need this bottom one, which actually got the S at the end as well. So you need this bottom types, and you need this types here and this top line here where the encoding and standalone thing is. You need that to make it a valid standalone type.xml file. If you don't have it, if you're working with a mod that hasn't got it, all you can do is, if you go to, I've got another one open here somewhere. If you go to your DB folder, so your MP missions, your mission name, DB, and go to your default types file, so this one, it'll just say types.xml. If you open it up and you've got it here, just copy it. You can just copy that, paste it into the types you're working with from your mod. Go down to the bottom, copy the bottom types, and paste that in to the bottom of your types you're working with, and you paste that down there. That's all you need to do. So just go to that, copy each bit you need to do, and put it in. But like I said, the armor one, it's already here. It's already a standalone, valid type.xml file. So I don't really need to do nothing with it. All you do need to do is, before you actually upload this to your server, you can leave it as default if you want to and upload it. But you may want to adjust. And by the way, this isn't what I've got in the server. This is taken from the mod. The one I've actually got in the server is all adjusted. But you'll probably want to adjust your minimal, default 20, you might think that's too much for your server, or you might think it's too little and you want to adjust it more or less. Or you might be like, oh, that's okay, I'll keep it as that. You may want to adjust your minimum to make a minimum amount spawning on the map. You'll probably also want to adjust where it spawns, military, police, give it a tier system. Do you want it spawning tier 2, tier 1, tier 3, or tier 4? And so on. And just go down through and adjust it. But like I said, you don't have to if you don't want to. You may just want to pop it into your server and just make sure it is actually working, then adjust it afterwards. So once you've got it as a valid type.xml file, what you need to do is you need to save the file. So you could, what I like to do is, just so I'm not saving it in the mod, because that's taking it from the mod folder, don't save. What I like to do is I'll open up, say, Notepad++. I should have already had this open. Right. And let's just do new. I've got it there anyway. But what I like to do is copy it from the mod folder, paste it into Notepad++, and then I like to save it. So you go File, save. And I'm not actually going to do it because I've already got one. I actually don't want to save it there either. What you can do is, I just like to save it on the desktop, but you can create a folder to put all your types in if you want to, or just save it straight to the desktop. Make sure it's as all types, so it actually saves. You need to make sure the file extension is a .xml. And what this would be, you can call it anything, but I like to call it to something what I'm dealing with, to what I know it is. So because this is the Arma 2 remastered weapons, I would just call this Arma 2 underscore. I don't think you need the underscore. I always put the underscore in because I'm following what's already there as a default system. So if you don't put the underscore, you could try it without the underscore. If it doesn't work, put the underscore in. And again, you don't need a capital A at the start. It's just up to you how you want to write it. Arma 2 underscore types dot XML, and then you save it. Now, I'm not going to save it because I've already got it, and I'll show you where I've got it. So, if I just minimize that, go to my desktop here. This desktop, by the way, is on the dedicated server that I'm on. I used to have a control panel that I used to work with, but about a month ago I changed to a dedicated server. So yeah, so some of this is still all new to me, how you work around it. But yeah, it's a lot better having a dedicated server. So you can see here, we've got the types 2, the arm. Okay, I've called this types underscore armor 2. It doesn't matter which way. It can be armor underscore types. It can be types underscore armor. The main thing is it's a .xml file, and you do need the word types in it somewhere. So what I've done is I previously, this is not what I've just done. This is previously what I've done before to put on my server. If I go to edit, you can see the top one I put to 8. That was 20. Minimum 0. I've lowered a lot of these. So what you do is you get the file where you saved it. So this is on my desktop. I can right click. Now if you use an FTP program, you obviously use your FTP to transfer the files over. But I'm not using FTP. I find it just as easy to do it like this. So if I right click, copy, what I then need to do is go to my MP missions, to my server, your server name, mission file, regular in the mosque, and then I need to go to the DB folder. Open up the DB folder, and you can see I've got a load of types that I've done. And again here, look, you can see types underscore armor 2. I've already got it in there. But what you would do, if I just, no, I won't rename it. But what you do is you right click, copy, in your DB folder, in an empty space, right click, paste. That'll paste it in there. And again, we can open this up. Oh, I've even loaded it since that one. Okay, that's got 4. Yeah, I have messed around with some of them. So that one there is old anyway. But in my actual server, I've lowered it even more. I did have some players saying, there is a bit too much loot because I've got it's a semi-hardcore survival, and they said there was quite a lot of weapons spawning. So I did lower a lot of them. But yeah, you can see that's there. From the mask, I've had to change a lot of things. Like these say tag name. These would normally say user's name if you're working with Chernarus, or I think even if you're working with maybe even Deer Isle, Livonia. But from the mask, they've changed a bit, so I've had to change them. So these will be different. So if, like I said, if you're working with Chernarus, you don't need to change these tag names. Just keep it how it is in the default, types file. But like I said, if you are working with a mosque, you do need to change them. And if you do need a video on that, I can show a video on that. But yeah, okay. So once you've got it in there, what you need to do is, what I like to do is, if you go back to your mission file, to where all your init file is and all your CFG economy core and that is, you need to edit your CFG economy core. So if I right click on it, edit. And right, what I'm gonna, if I quickly open up a Chernarus one, because I want to show you, if you are working with Chernarus with expansion, let me show you expansion, because it is sort of in there with expansion. But I want to show you a normal Chernarus 2. Where are we looking? Edit. Now with expansion, you've got like the expansion bit already here, because you're gonna need this. You're gonna need this CE part and then the file name part. I've added Morty's in there. Morty's comes as a folder, but for my mask one, for some reason I couldn't get the folder bit working, so I just create it just as a file. You'll see that in a minute. Okay, but if you go back to normal, say Chernarus one, if you're not using expansion, and go to your economy core, edit, but you can see under defaults there is nothing. Let me put up there. There is nothing under there. You've got your classes and you've got your defaults. There's nothing under there. What I'm going to show you, you would paste under your defaults. So you've got the bottom defaults there, underneath that, but above the economy core. Okay, so in this little gap. Right, so, don't save. Let me go back to where I was. I think I just closed the wrong one down. What we're looking at. Right. Oh, okay, this is on my main. Let me go back to the test one. It doesn't matter, but I don't want to confuse you. Right. So, what you need to do, go back to this, go back to find your CFG economy core, right click, edit. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put this in. So if we just copy, where have I got my armor types? Armor down here. So you need these 3 lines. This little arrow, CE folder equals DB. I like down, file name equals types armor 2. And then the bottom CE. So you would copy that. And what I'll do is, let me just copy all that so I don't lose it. And I'm going to show you, that's just there as default. So what you would do is you need these 3 lines. So again, I'm going to put this in the description. So, right. So, it will look like something like this. If you look with Chernarus, it may be empty like this. All you need to do is you need to put this line in. I didn't copy the bottom C. No worries. Make sure you have this bottom bit, because it will screw everything up. Come on, there we go. So you have 3 lines for one file. And again, if you're working with another, if you do more than one of these type.xml files, if you do one, say, for Morty's, I don't know, more guns mod or whatever, Mungards items, whatever, you'd have this bottom bit, this top bit, with the file name and whatever the XML file is, and this bottom CE. So you've got 3 lines for each one you do. Now, I'll put this in the description, but what I'll do is I'll write this, name of XML file. So you know in there, you put the name of your XML file. You don't need to change nothing with this, keep that as types. And because this is what it's reading from, it's reading the types. And yeah, and you got the bottom bit. So like I said, I'll put this in the description, so you can just copy this from the description, okay? And then just change the name of your XML file. But what I want to do is, let me just go back, and not that one. Just copy that. Let's just redo that. So it's like that, okay? So my XML file was called types_armor2. And all you then do is you file and save. I'm not going to save it because I need to put all the others back. Well, I can just cancel it. I don't need to save. But yeah, that's all you do. And if you want to add another one underneath, you'd put it underneath. And again, this one would be whatever the type.xml file you're working with is called. Make sure it is spelt in here. Make sure it is spelt correctly to what is in your DB folder. Make sure it's spelt how it is spelt there, so it actually reads in this file. And again, so you go. So I've got Morty's types here. Now Morty's types, all the ones that I've done, it's been types underscore the name, but you can work with it as Morty's underscore types. You can put the name first, as long as it's got types in it. You're gonna be fine. But like I said, just copy how I've done it. If we go to here, look, you can see with Morty's underscore types, but the rest of it is types underscore then the XML name. Now I just want to actually close that down and not save it. So that's what you do. So a quick recap is into your DB folder. So once you've got the types file and you've saved it, create it, like I said, save it to your desktop. Find it, right click, copy. Or if you're using, like I said, FTP program, use your FTP program to find it and copy it to the file that you are, the destination folder, path, whatever, to where you want it to be. So in this case, it needs to be in the DB folder. Right click, paste. And I've already got it here. Once you've done that, go back one to your mission file, and then CFG economy core. Edit, under classes, or basically at the bottom of this file, but above the CFG economy core, the 3 lines that I'm going to put into the description, you copy, okay? Copy and paste it into under classes, but of course you change the name of what the XML file that you've worked on, if that makes sense, okay? And then file, save it. Make sure your server's offline as well when you do this. I mean, you can do this with your server's online, but it's always recommended to have your server offline. So once you've done this, make sure your server's offline for recommendations. Then start your server up, let your server boot up, and log in. And then you should get all the loot spawning in your server. Now again, remember, if we go back to the actual type file, that one. You need to check the places you set it. So this Colt A2, if I want to try and see if this Colt A2 1911 was spawning, I would need to go and look at military, civilian, or police areas on the map. I've got no tier system. What I could do is to make sure it was working, I could just make it spawn at, say, tier 1 locations, and then I could just go around all tier 1 military, all tier 1 civilian. Or what I could do is I could remove the military and civilian and say just keep police, because there's not that many police areas that are in tier 1, and I could just go around the tier 1 police areas and just make sure it is actually working. And then I could add these back in later. But yeah, but also another good way to make sure they are working is just increase the normal a bit. You know, put like 15, 20, just so there's a high amount of weapons spawning, so it gives you a more of a chance of finding the item. Once you know that item is on the map and you found it, you can always lower it. And then what you want to do, if you want to reset the loot that is spawned on your server, so you might not want all the items on your server, what you could do is quickly, if you go into your MP mission, go to your storage folder, go to your data folder, and scroll down and find types, types 02 and bin. Now this normally says types 001, like this says 002. This is in like a compressed file. I don't know why it's compressed. But yeah, I delete all three of these, and this. I think you only need to delete the types.bin, but I always delete all three. And that will delete all the items that are spawned via the types on the map. And then restart your server with the new adjusted loot from your XML file, and it will spawn the loot that you've determined in the XML file. If that makes sense. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully you've got some knowledge. Now, you will see, of course, I do want to quickly say, in here, it means this DB folder has got a lot more types XML files in it, so you've got a lot more to work from. But if I want to adjust stuff in Arma 2, I can just go straight there. If I want to adjust stuff from base storage, I can go straight there. If I want to adjust stuff from my snow gear file, I can go straight there. I don't have to go into the types file and scroll all the way down and find everything. I've got it organised. The only thing that I have put in my types XML file is the code lock mod, because there was literally one item, and my raid tools, because again there was literally 2 items. I have got, yeah, my base building plus stuff here as well. That was just simply because yeah, I just forgot to do it the other way. I just added it straight in there. I may make a separate file for that and put it in separately. But where's... Okay, I can't even seem to close that. Okay, I can't even seem to minimise that now. The thing's gone. There we go. Oh dear, I just minimised it. So it does mean you've got a lot more type files here. And it, of course, means in your CFG Economy Core, you've got a lot more of these, like folder destination and file paths here. Now, despite having all this, personally, again, you can test this. And from what I've tested, it does not affect your server performance. You know, my server FPS is the same. The server load time is the same. It doesn't create any more lag. For me, everything has been exactly the same. All it does, like I said at the start, is it makes it more easier, more organised for me to look through. But for you guys, it might not do. You might prefer having it all in one types XML file. You might prefer that. And if you do, that's down to you. And if that's the way you want to work, that's fine. But, you know, I like to make it more organised, smaller chunks, easier to work from. And like I said, you know, if you do it like this and you find that your server is lagging more because of it, load time is slower, you know, your FPS is dropped, then go back to the old way. That's fine. But for me, I have not noticed it. Everything has been exactly the same. So I don't see why this would make your server performance any worse, your load time any worse. It's just, yeah. For me, there's been no downside at all. Like I said, the only downside might be is you've got more stuff here rather than just one file. And again, you've got more stuff here. You know, you could say it could be quite complicated to look for all these. But I generally find this is a lot better to work from. This mutant one I think I can delete, by the way. I don't use it no more. But yeah, that's it. Any more issues, let me know. Like I said, I'll put the bit in the description that you need to copy paste. Just make sure your type.xml file that you're working with is a valid standalone file. So like I said, if you're getting a type.xml file from a mod and it hasn't got that top bit with the encoder and the standalone bit at the very top and the version, and it hasn't got that types with the S in at the top and the types with the S in at the bottom, make sure you put them in and you save it. But yeah, you're good to go. And like I said, if you are working for the mosque and you're having trouble getting loot spawning, I can show you how you edit stuff to, like, the way of the mosque works, basically. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace out.